Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear viewers, and welcome to Women's View on Ahlulbayt TV. You're joined here live for another episode of Women's View. Now, today we have a very interesting topic, and let's say a very sensitive topic as well. Today we're discussing the Islamic viewpoint of abortion. Now, when we posted this topic online on Facebook, we advertised this topic of the show. We got many of your comments posted through, and many people talking about personal experiences with people who were contemplating abortion. Now, we put this show together as 2 months ago. We did have a sister who emailed in, and now I'm saying this with her permission. As I said, I will mention it with her permission only, but cannot say any personal details. My sister did email us saying that she is contemplating abortion, although she did not go ahead with it. That thought did arise. So we decided to plan a show focusing on this topic. Now, statistics say that on a daily basis, 115,000 children are aborted. That's on a daily basis. So today, as according to statistics, that 115,000 unborn children will be aborted. Now, if you have any comment, views, questions on this topic, you want to share your opinion on this topic, then please do feel free to call in with the number on the screen. We would love to hear from you. What do you think about this topic? What do you think about the whole issue of abortion? Let us know. Also, you can email us at womensview@ahlulbayt.tv. We will read out your email during today's show, or otherwise some of your comments will be shown at the bottom of the screen. Now let's get started in today's topic. I'm your host, Zahra Al-Alawi, and today with me is Sister Farhana Jagani. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Now I'm so happy to have you on the show, and it's a very sensitive and important topic, to be honest. And I don't know where to begin with this topic, but first of all, to start with statistics. I mean, could you tell us some statistics about abortion? Is it common now? Tell us more about that.
I found exactly the same statistic as you did on the internet. It was on an American website, which said, I'll read it out to you because I don't want to get it wrong, that there are approximately 42 million per year worldwide, which comes to 115,000, as you said. It said this was based on statistics in 1996. And in the USA, there were approximately 1.37 million, of which 52% are in the under 25s, teenagers taking up 20% of these, and girls under 15 years of age, 1.2%. I then looked for a more recent statistic. So I thought 1996 is a long time ago. Let's see what's happened more recently. On the Department of Health website, it stated that in 2009, women of residence in England and in Wales, the total abortions was 189,100, which is still quite high. What I found a little bit surprising, because I expected abortion rates to have gone up, it said it had actually fallen from 2008 by a percentage of 3.2. But of the abortions that happened in 2009, 94% were funded by the NHS. 91% were carried out under 13 weeks of gestation, 75% under 10 weeks of gestation. Medical abortions accounted for 40% of the total, and only 1% of the total of abortions were carried out where the child would have been born with some sort of handicap. There were a lot of statistics on the internet, and it's absolutely amazing the amount of information that is out there. But obviously what you need to do is look at websites that are probably accredited. So that's why I went to the Department of Health website. I thought that's definitely a website where the statistics are going to be accurate based on information they've got from the hospitals and from nurses and doctors in this country. So that was obviously quite an accurate statistic there. So it's quite shocking the amount that there are. I found something on YouTube, a gentleman giving a speech on YouTube. It was to do with abortions in Islam, and he quoted a statistic of 105 per hour. So in the hour that we are here on the TV, there's a possibility of 105 children being aborted, and that's just in the Western Hemisphere. That doesn't include the developing countries. That's just 105 in places like America, Canada, UK, Europe and Australia. And obviously I don't know how verified that statistic is, but it was still just a shocking number to hear, that 105 per hour. That's a lot of children.
Definitely, I mean the numbers are really shocking, and even like you said, that credible websites like the health
Department of Health website.
Department of Health, and I saw the abortion.org, I believe, website. The numbers are really shocking. But according to the whole concept of abortion, how has this act socially and morally changed? Now I know if we look back, let's say just 50 years ago or 100 years, the act was still seen kind of immoral, let's say.
Yeah.
So how has this act kind of changed over the years?
If you look at just in this country and the people in our current society, like you said, just 50 years ago, if you go back to 1950s, 1960s, it was still a very taboo subject.
Yeah.
Abortion was very sort of underhand in the back streets. It wasn't something that was commonly discussed. It wouldn't be discussed openly between women, or it wouldn't be in a newspaper article like it is nowadays. It's on the news, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
You just Google it and it's there, and there's so many hits that you can find. Whereas 50 years ago, it was very hush-hush. It wasn't something that was allowed, even in general society. Now in general society, it is a bit more accepted. You have the groups that are anti-abortion, obviously. You have, obviously, the religious aspect, which has never changed. The religious aspect has always been the same. That hasn't changed. It's just the public perception of abortion that has changed. So whereas before it was sort of unheard of, and it was possibly a smaller statistic, but that could be because of lack of knowledge, because it happened in backstreets, in private doctors' surgeries, so that we didn't know. Maybe now we're getting more information and it's more freely available. It's available now on the NHS, that you don't have to pay a lot of money to get it done. I think public perception has changed.
Definitely. I mean, for it to be provided by the NHS, or that's shocking within itself. I always believe that these kind of principles, they can never be governed by a secular society, because it will always change.
Yeah.
There's for example, all religions, I believe, condemn abortion.
Yeah.
So for that principle and that act to be governed by a secular society, which its morals are always changing, it's quite shocking. But let's go up for a quick video, because I know we were discussing this with you before about the psychological torture and torment that women go through after having abortions.
Yeah.
Now, we do have a quick clip, so let's see that, and then we'll come and discuss a few aspects. For the audience at home, many women who have gone through abortion have spoken about psychological torture, torment. It's something which comes back and haunts many women, let alone the physical pain of going through an abortion. But this is a quick clip, and this is the voice of a real life story of a woman who went through abortion. And have a quick look at this clip, and then we'll come back and discuss a few aspects regarding that.
I became pregnant, and the guy that I was with, he wasn't ready. Now, when we were planning on getting married, we were talking about marriage, but he said, I'm not ready, I don't have the money, blah, blah, blah. And so, because out of what I thought was love, I agreed to have the abortion. And so we went, and internally, I just struggled. I didn't want to, but because out of love, what I thought was love, I went through it. And the whole time, I just was struggling, and I didn't want to do it. So that kept going, and got to the time of the procedure, and the inside of me was screaming, just screaming. And I did it anyway. And to this day, I regret, not just one, but two. Not only did I take one life, but I took two. As an adult, here I am, and I'm still, I'm going to say, haunted by this. And if I had someone to talk to, if at 18 years old, after the initial shock and the fretting and everything, if I had someone that I could talk to who would have, laid out the options for me, then this stuff and carrying it through my life would not have had to occur.
Assalamu alaikum, welcome back. Now, that was a real life story of a woman who went through abortion. Now, as you all saw, she mentioned that the father told her, we're not ready to have kids, perhaps it's best to abort the child. And she did go through that and actually aborted 2 children. And she mentioned after that she went through psychological torment, and she still now as an adult cannot forgive herself for what she has done. Now, just to mention, this is not only one story. I'm sure you can go ahead after this show and research online. You'll find many, many stories of women even going through post-abortion depression and all that sort. Now, let's discuss it with our guest again. Now, we saw this, you know, a woman just explaining how she, years after, still cannot forgive what she done. You know, many people do go through this kind of depression. It's called post-abortion depression. There's many other syndromes as well. Can you speak more about that?
I mean, I think a woman is a sensitive person. She's made by Allah in a specific way. We're different to men. We're there to nurture children, to help them grow. We're there to help nourish them. And we have a certain attachment. From the moment that you find out you're pregnant, you automatically have a bond with this baby. I remember when I was pregnant with my first child, and I had a scan done, and I was told, this is the fetal pole. I went, no, that's my child. At that point, it was an early scan, did not look like a baby, but to me, it was my baby. And it was probably what they refer to medically as some cells. It's called a fetal pole or a fetal tube, something along those lines. I can't remember now. But you automatically have a sense of attachment to the unborn child because you know that it's a part of you. You know, it's a gift from God. That's how in Islam we see children. Every child is a gift from God. And if for some reason that child is taken away from you through a miscarriage or a stillborn child through pregnancy, there's a reason that gift has been taken away from you. It's not a decision that you can make. I mean, still to this day, my son is now 3. I worry about him all the time. He's now in nursery and he's not in my sight. And that's a mother's nature, to care and to nurture. And I think if you've, for some reason, had to go through an abortion, which I have to admit I cannot imagine, I can understand that that woman would be mentally upset, distressed, distraught. Every single word in the thesaurus that you could find would describe that woman. She would be mentally upset. She would go through depression. She would think about that unborn child. For similar, I mean, abortion obviously is a decision they've made. So, I mean, it would be very harsh for me to say it's their own fault. But they've gone through it. They've made the decision to abort the child. And this is the consequences that they're bearing. If you look at people who have lost a child through a miscarriage or a stillborn, they go through the emotions. My baby was due on this date. My baby would now be a year. My baby would be doing this. When you see other children, a friend of mine lost a baby at a young age, and she remembered the due date her baby was on was very distressing for her. My baby would be born today. A year later, my baby would be 1 today. It's a woman's nature to care and to nurture. And I think for a person to have gone through an abortion, it's going to have major psychological effects because that baby was inside them. And even though it was a decision they made, it wasn't a decision Allah made to take the baby away. They're now bearing the consequences of their actions, maybe with regret or remorse. But at the end of the day, whatever their feeling is, they can't change the situation. They can't bring back that baby. They can't turn around the abortion. So they have to live with the consequences of their action. And I can't begin to imagine how it must be, but it just must be a big psychological effect on them. It must be quite distressing.
Definitely, I'm sure there's millions of women out there who can relate to the feeling of motherhood and, you know, and how it feels like to be a mother and being attached to a child. I can't imagine how it would feel as well. We had a comment from a sister on Facebook, and I'm sure the audience, if you want to go and read more of these comments, I cannot read all the comments, but you can check it out on Ahlulbayt TV Facebook, the official Facebook group, so they can read more of the comments. Now, this is Sister Layla. She said, I personally know of one girl who aborted her baby in the early stages of pregnancy with the aid of tablets. She is not Muslim, by the way. The pain she went through in this process will haunt her forever, and the sight, sorry to say this, but the sight of the pieces of fetus will never leave her mind. She now has 2 children, but mourns this baby she killed, all because she split up with the father and didn't think she could cope with an infant at the age of 17. But like you said, the attachment of always, she has 2 children now, but still mourns back and thinks about the first one. I can't imagine how it must feel of losing a child. I mean, I know many people that went through miscarriage, and that was absolutely devastating, and they still haven't got, you know, overcome the feeling of miscarriage. I don't know how it is with aborting a child, knowing that you chose to abort this child, so I can't imagine. But would you like to add anything on? Or
I just think it must be harder I mean, alhamdulillah, I've never been through a miscarriage, so I don't know the loss of a child, but I can't imagine how difficult it would be. But if you've consciously made the decision yourself and you regret it later, I think the upsetness, the depression over it would be far greater than a miscarriage, because Allah is all-knowing. He has a reason for everything he does. So the miscarriage has happened for a reason.
Yeah.
The abortion has happened because of your reason, not Allah's reason.
That's true.
So there's a different aspect to that. So I think it would possibly be that little bit harder if they then regret it later.
Definitely. I mean, for the audience, we are getting a few comments through. Some of those comments are being shown at the bottom of the screen from viewers from around the world. So if you want to read those comments in and out the show, you can also call us. I know it's a sensitive topic and many people may not want to call, but would rather email or type their opinions on Facebook. But if you do want to call, the number is on the screen. Tell us, what do you think about the whole topic of abortion? The number should be on the screen. Now let me read out another comment, and this is interesting enough, a comment from a boy, a man, shall I say, a male. So he said, his name is Brother Anwar Rabab Hashimi. He said, I agree. He agreed with the top comment. He said, some people saying we do not understand women. Then can I request a show to discuss today? Why do women even think about aborting? Why would anyone think about doing that? Now this is a comment from a male saying, you know, why would a woman even want to think about aborting a child if it's so psychologically torturing and, you know, pain? So what are the reasons why women choose to abort?
There could be very many reasons why a woman would want to abort. I mean, like the previous comment on Facebook was an unwanted pregnancy. She didn't know if she could cope at that age with having a child. That is probably what I perceive as one of the more common reasons of an unwanted pregnancy, where they've decided, the couple or the individual has decided that they cannot cope with having a child. With some of the pro-abortion groups, they say that it's a woman's decision. It's up to her how she deals with her body. If she doesn't want her body to be deformed by pregnancy, then that's her right. If she's gotten pregnant, it's her right to have an abortion. Another reason could be rape. Another reason could be the stability of a woman, whether she's mentally or physically unable to cope with a pregnancy. And obviously another reason, like we mentioned with the statistics, was a medical reason. If the child has a deformity or a known handicap that will occur when the child is born, that could be a reason for pregnancy. So while, a reason for abortion. So while abortion to us might seem very taboo, to some people there could be a genuine reason for the thought of abortion popping into the head, like the lady that called in who was contemplating it. There must be a genuine distress associated with the pregnancy that could cause a person to think down those lines. I mean, my husband today said to me, you're going on this show to discuss abortion, what's your opinion? And I went, I haven't got one. It's not allowed, it's forbidden, I don't have an opinion on it. It's not something I've ever considered. Yes, I've seen the debates and I've heard the discussions. I've seen on the news the rallies that have been happening in America here and there outside abortion clinics, but I've never had an opinion on it. It's not allowed in Islam. I've never considered the reasons why a woman would want to have an abortion.
Definitely. I mean, like me too. I always thought, whenever I came across the topic of abortion, I always thought it's not allowed, never will happen, never will think about it. It's not something you would even think about. But it seems like some circumstances people do think about it. And I remember this one a couple of years ago. I was researching the issue of abortion, and I went onto Google and went to images and wrote abortion, and I saw the aborted feces, I think they call them. I saw the images of them, and it's like they're so little, but they still have the legs, and you can still see their limbs, and that image
is quite shocking, isn't it? Because they say at 14 weeks the baby is fully formed as a child when it was born. But obviously it still has development to go through. So at 14 weeks, its brain is there, its lungs are there, its fingers and toes, its genetics from its mother and father are there. Its gender is already decided at 14 weeks, whether it's a male or a female. And to think that abortion in this country is allowed till much after 14 weeks. I can't remember whether it's 24 or 27 weeks, but to think at 14 weeks this baby is fully formed. But abortion is still allowed up to 10 weeks afterwards. So and at 14 weeks, I think they said that the soul actually comes into the body at that point, which is why in some schools of thought in Islam, there was discussion with regards to abortion being allowed up to 120 days, which is when they thought that the soul was then put into the child in the womb and then a human, and you couldn't allow abortion then. I mean, there's a lot on the internet. Like you said, people should really go out and Google. It's an amazing topic. Not necessarily a topic of discussion, but a topic of interest. You know, if you're interested in things to do with life, like you said, because of a situation, because of somebody you know, it's interesting to find out more information, to increase your knowledge on it. And there is so much out there on websites that you can trust, on websites of Shia or Muslim nature that have actually got facts and statistics to do with the embryo and the fetus growing within the womb and Islam's thought on it. I mean, Islam has one fixed thought, that abortion is not allowed. There is nowhere in the Quran where abortion is condoned. In fact, there are ayahs in the Quran that condone it, so to speak. So, for example, in Surah An-Am, which is chapter 6, verse 151, and do not slay your children for fear of poverty. We provide for you and for them. So that kind of covers the unwanted aspect of a child, that I can't cope with the child, I won't be able to look after the child, I won't be able to nourish, I won't be able to give them the childhood that they deserve. And there's another surah, another ayat, which is very similar, Surah Isra, chapter 17, verse 31. And do not kill your children for fear of poverty. We give them sustenance and yourselves too. Surely to kill them is a great wrong. So the idea of an unwanted pregnancy should not occur, because you have to put faith in Allah, that you have become pregnant for a reason. Allah has blessed you. Other people want to get pregnant and cannot.
Exactly.
And you have become pregnant. You should cherish that opportunity, because Allah has given you a great gift. Jannah is under the feet of the mother. And Allah has just given you an opportunity to enter Jannah. Why get rid of that opportunity? Everyone wants to strive in this world for the hereafter, to enter Jannah. So surely we should make the most of an opportunity that we are guaranteed Jannah, because we are a mother. Definitely. Because we are bringing up a child, hopefully a child, to be in Imam Mahdi Sahib al-Zaman's army one day. So we have a purpose. So abortion to me is just unimaginable.
Definitely. I mean, like you said, in Islam, like many people, not just in Islam, but in Islam we have prophets that wanted children and couldn't get children. Today we see that many people want to get pregnant. They spend years trying to get pregnant and don't have that blessing. So to think of someone being given that blessing, I know many women myself and couples who want to have children and they just simply can't. So to be given that blessing and then taking it away from yourself, that's really you know, something that I can't really turn my head towards. But also, like you said, that life is a blessing in Islam. In the Quran it says if you kill one person, it's as if you killed the whole of mankind. If you save one person, it's as if you saved the whole of mankind. So to think of killing even an unborn child is, you know, shocking. We are going towards a break now, but let me just read out one more comment from a sister. Her name's Sister Huda Najat Mufid. She posted a comment, and it's quite interesting what she said. She said, yes, it's all good for a man to tell us abortion is bad, but what if a woman gets raped? Now you as a woman can sympathize with me. A woman gets raped and gets pregnant. What does she do? Does Islam let her abort? And what about this, what the sister said, fear of neglecting? That was another comment which I'll read out. I know a woman who was raped and got pregnant. How could she keep her child? This makes me cry every time I think about it. Just to add, we need more topics like this. Sometimes men don't know how women feel and what we go through, so we need a woman's show and a woman's discussion. So for Sister Huda, I know we're going off for a break, but just for Sister Huda, we would like to say that, you know, that's why we have these kind of shows and women hosts and women guests, so we can kind of reach out to all the women out there and discuss many of these topics. Now, just before we go to break, I'll let you answer this, and then if we have to go, I'll have to cut you halfway through.
Sure. I think Islam's approach to the issue of birth control and abortion is very balanced. A woman is allowed to prevent pregnancy, but not to terminate a pregnancy. So in the case of a rape, there's the morning after pill, and there's also the intrauterine device, which is commonly known as a coil, which can be used within the 3 to 5 days after unprotected intercourse to prevent the embryo, the fetus, from actually attaching to the lining of the womb and resulting in a pregnancy. That is allowed in Islam. So the idea would be, in a case of rape, would be to prevent the pregnancy rather than then discovering the pregnancy and having an abortion. Obviously, the issues of a rape we cannot discuss here because that's a whole other issue. But the psychological, mental effects, but obviously you will get the support of the police where you've gone to report the rape, and they will guide you once they do the rape kit and everything, all the evidence and all the trauma that you have to go through discussing the rape. But they will discuss with you the emergency contraception so that you can prevent the pregnancy. There is no reason to say no to that and risk having a pregnancy and then an abortion and then the extra turmoil and psychological effects of first the rape and then the pregnancy. Prevent the pregnancy. There are means out there that are available to you that Islam allows to prevent it. So the issue of having an abortion when a woman has been raped shouldn't even come up. Prevent the pregnancy in the first place.
Definitely. I mean, that's a beautiful answer. And like you said, if abortion is forbidden, then, like you said, preventing a pregnancy isn't. But I can't begin to think about how a woman feels when, you know, receiving or experiencing sexual abuse or rape. So I think we should have a topic on this. But if a woman does get raped and finds out way after, like weeks after, that she is pregnant, I truly believe this, and I can't really speak from this angle because I've never been in a situation, but you know, I think that if you've been through this, why would you want to kill another even if it's an unborn child? Why would you want to kill another life due to what you have received? So it's really,
I think it's a way of thinking that although you have been inflicted with, you've been oppressed in that manner and the way the baby was conceived, but the child itself is a gift. If you cannot handle the psychological aspect, which many people wouldn't be able to, of the way this child could be a constant reminder of what has happened, why abort? Give the child the life. The child has come into life for a reason, but get the child adopted. If you cannot handle seeing that child as a reminder, don't abort the child. Allah's brought this child into the world for a reason.
Definitely. We're just going off for a quick break, so inshallah we'll come back after the break. Please do join us in a few minutes. We'll be speaking more about the topic of abortion and bringing in the Islamic aspect. So join us in a few minutes. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.